Yeah, it's just going to take me some getting used to. Okay, well, let's roll and see what we get. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I am Stephen Britton. I am here coming to you live, loud, proud, and all that good stuff from Calgary. And I'll be saying a big hello to all intelligent people out there. And remind all the feminists and socialists out there that the secret is to bang those rocks together, guys. So, of course, today I've got on my Christmas sweater. That's a microphone cable, ignore that. But this is my Christmas sweater, which I broke out this year because I thought I'd have some fun with it. And I wanted to wear it today because I'm going to start by talking about something that I've mentioned this a few times. And on the sweater, before I even go there, on the sweater, this is like Rudolph. It's great because my cat comes running every time I shake it too because of these bells. I've got a cat with some cat toys with bells on them. But what I like about this sweater is, I wear the sweater because it reminds me that Rudolph is really a victim of bullying, if you think about it. The whole story of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is about bullying from some really nasty, she must be a feminist reindeer named Olive. You know, Olive, that other reindeer? She really, really did target Rudolph, didn't she? So she was a real bitch. So there's my little rant about Olive, the other reindeer. Now I'm gonna go back in time a little bit, and I've really wanted to talk about the office Christmas party because it's the season. 'Tis the season for Christmas sweaters and office Christmas parties. And I just want to remind anyone who's a boss out there, the office Christmas party, it is a Christmas party. It is not a winter celebration. It is not a midwinter solstice holiday party or any of these other things. It is a Christmas party. In fact, a few years ago, my wife actually got invited to their company's annual winter celebration, and I flatly refused to go. She would try and take me as her plus one, and I didn't particularly want to go anyway. But this year, I flatly refused to go because, and when she asked me why, I told her it was very simple. I don't go to winter celebrations. I go to Christmas parties. And that's just the way it is. So I refused to go that year. And the following year, it was a Christmas party again. I guess their CEO got the message loud and clear. Now, it really annoyed me because the company I was working for at the time, at our Christmas party, and there was one main reason that everyone went to that party, and that was for the presents. But the boss got up and he welcomed everyone, and he says, "I want to welcome everyone to our annual holiday party." And I actually heckled him. And then I wasn't the only one heckling at this point. I yelled out, "It's a Christmas party, Bob." And everyone's name at that company in upper management, their name was Bob. I don't really know why, but their name was Bob. And I later on, I shook his hand and said, "Merry Christmas, Bob." And I think he got the message as well. But that was the last Christmas party where I actually enjoyed myself. I was sitting around the table with some people who were actually friends. And it's very rare that this happens. And that really was the last one because the company shut down after that. But that was where we had a really good time. And I still am in touch with one of those friends even now. But I've come to loathe office Christmas parties. Let's be honest. Most of us have jobs. Most of us get up in the morning, go to work, we put in our 8 hours, we do our best, and hopefully we love what we do. And there's nothing wrong with having a job, but hopefully we love what we do. And at the end of the day, what do? We pack up our things, we say goodbye to our coworkers, we put on our jackets, our gloves if it's wintertime, and we head back home to our families. We kiss our wives, our husbands if we're married. You know, we meet our kids, maybe we pick them up from daycare, and then we have supper. After supper, we play with the kids, we parent it a little bit, we put the kids to bed, we flop down on the couch, we watch TV maybe, watch the news or whatever, talk, and then we'll call it a night. And if anything happens after calling it a night, that's your business. I don't want to touch that one. Now, but since we're being honest, maybe we do grab a beer with for the guys from work. Maybe we'll have lunch with someone at work here and there. But really, where do you see anything in what I've just described that says hanging out with coworkers? And that's the point. Coworkers are great people. They're talented. They're wonderful people. We spend more time with our coworkers in most cases than we do with our spouses. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But they're not who we normally hang out with. We don't hang out with them normally not because we want to. We don't see them every day because we necessarily want to. We see them because we're paid to. So why is it then once a year we all have to do this obligatory get together, dress up in our suit, go out, eat sliced turkey with mashed potatoes, mixed vegetables, and some form of cake or buffet dessert? I mean, everyone sits around at tables in groups of 8, banquet style. You know, we shake hands with people we don't know. We probably forget their names, of course. We make inane small talk for a while over dinner. Everyone's careful to avoid the big 3 taboo subjects: politics, religion, and sex, all of which are the most interesting subjects out there. So nobody says anything meaningful or interesting, and they just talk about niceties all the time. So what do? Oh, I'm the chief assistant to the Southern Regional Consulting Management Division in charge of peripherals, or some such a name. Oh, me? How about me? Oh, I'm just this guy, you know, and so on, right? Following this, there's a few speeches from the top managers, which tells everyone how wonderful they are. And every year, everyone says the same thing. This is the banner year. We've done the best we ever have. This is going to be great. Things are looking great for next year. We've heard this all before. And then we thank everyone for the hard work. And after the speeches, of course, then comes the dancing. The DJ cranks up the tunes. Maybe there's a live band. And actually, it became a running joke. There's one couple that I remember going to year after year after year at the same Christmas party. We sat with them because we thought this was funny. The band that was one year was so awful. They were loud. We couldn't hear couldn't hear ourselves thinking. Couldn't hear ourselves think with this band playing, and they were loud. Then they played Mustang Sally. You know, Ride Sally Ride. And the song was done so badly that every year after that, it became our song, because it was such a funny experience. And I remember one year it was the DJ played it, and I would have gone across the room for something to get some dessert or something, and I made eye contact with this spouse from across the room, and we both pointed at each other, and there it is, Mustang Sally. It's like the same songs get played every freaking year. But why do we do this? Why do we hang out at a Christmas party, and you can tell nobody really wants to be there? It's something that we do every year for the sake of doing it. I mean, gone are the days where the assistant sales manager gets drunk, the receptionist photocopies her butt on the photocopier, the manager ends up with a tie around his forehead, and the underdog to the senior assistant manager of sales ends up waking up the next morning in a cheesy hotel room with the secretary and has no idea how he got there or what he did. Those days are gone. And if those days aren't gone, those are parties that I never get invited to. So there's like, the office Christmas party is done. So everyone sits around the table and they stare at each other. It's difficult to make conversation because the music is blaring. And it just sits there and it's awkward. And the night drags on. People stare at each other. Some people dance. Some people drink. And as time passes, people get bored. People start to go home. Drunk people call their cabs. The sober people drive. It's a false construct. It really is. The office Christmas party is a false construct. It's contrived and it's phony. It takes a bunch of people who would not normally hang out with each other in a social setting, and it throws them into one. It's the banquet setting with this 8-person round tables, the speeches, the dancing. It's a tried and true design. It's designed to take people with very little in common, other than their employer, and it forces them to pretend to be best friends for a night. Everyone's on their best behavior, of course, because it's a banquet setting, and that gives it a formal feeling. See, we even dress up for it, where, quite frankly, I'm more comfortable in my ugly Christmas sweater and jeans. But I wouldn't dare go to a Christmas party in this because everyone else is wearing suits. So, you know what? I think we really need to drop this pretense. The office Christmas party is probably one of the worst events of the year, especially for the spouse who doesn't work for the company, the plus one. So let's just do everyone a favor, save some money, and stop holding them. It'd be a lot easier for everyone, don't you think? You know what? I got comments below, so throw in a comment. Tell me what you think. I'm really curious. Maybe I'm totally out of line here. I don't know. But that's my office Christmas party rant. So we're going to switch gears now. I'm going to remind you that I am on Patreon. You can find me there at SC Britain. I'm on Twitter, of course. I'm also there at SC Britain. And I'm on Facebook, Steve Speaks Freely. And on minds.com, you can find me there with the handle SC Britain. Over on Patreon and Minds, of course, you can, if you wish, decide to support me and this podcast I'm doing. Anything that you do send my way gets put into paying bills, of course, but also will be reinvested and just go into better equipment at first to make the show better. And over time, hopefully, we'll be receiving enough to be able to hire some staff and make this yet another excellent podcast that's available out there. Anything that you send me is always appreciated, never expected, of course, but it is very much and always appreciated. So please do give that consideration. And I'm going to switch gears now and talk a little bit about what's going to be happening here in Calgary tomorrow and for the rest of the week. I will be attending. That is my goal anyway, my aim. And that is, it's a far more serious topic, unfortunately. That is the lawsuit between the Honeybadgers Brigade, namely Allison Tiemann, and the Calgary Expo and the Mary Sue. Now, this stems from something which occurred back in 2015. Yes, the legal system does take this long. So, what went down? And I have a very strong interest in this on the periphery, not because I stand to gain anything personally from this particular lawsuit, but from the fact that something similar happened to me before as a volunteer with the Calgary Expo. I am a former volunteer with the Expo, full disclosure. What happened with the Honeybadgers is there was a panel at the Honeybadgers. First of all, Allison Tiemann set up a booth there. And initially went to Xenospora, which is her own comic, but then amended it so that it would be the Honeybadgers Brigade, and she was selling Xenospora stuff there as well as Honeybadgers material. Now, the Honeybadgers Brigade is a men's rights advocacy group. So there was nothing in the rules of the Expo at the time that said that advocacy groups were not allowed to be there. And they take a very geek-oriented, nerd, satirical approach to their thing. They're actually quite interesting. You can find them here on Facebook. They do a show called Honeybadgers Radio. You can check that out if you like. So they're at the show. They're doing their thing. They had a banner up regarding Gamergate, which was basically a banner to advocate for ethics in journalism. Gamergate is what it is. There is no leadership to Gamergate. And some members of Gamergate have made some bad moves. I will concede, but Gamergate as a whole is a whole controversial thing because of what some people have done with regards to certain individuals, which I'm not going to name. So they had a Gamergate banner up, and there is a Women in Comics panel, which Allison and I guess other members of the group attended. A rhetorical question got asked. Allison stood up politely and politely asked permission to field it. So she did, and they gave her a mic, and she spoke, and then she sat down politely, and it sparked a discussion. There was nothing untoward about this, from what I've heard, and the audio recording of this is available here on YouTube. If I can, I'll find the link and I'll put it in the description for the recorded version of this podcast. So everything was fine. There was a discussion sparked, and then they agreed to move on, and that was it. I thought that was a perfectly legitimate, by the sound of it, it's a perfectly legitimate thing to do. The next morning, with 10 minutes before the convention was to open, that was the Friday. Now the Saturday is the opening, is the big day of the show. 10 minutes to go, and Allison gets pulled aside, and they are informed that they are being removed from the show, and they had 10 minutes to tear down their booth and get everything out. 10 minutes to remove a booth, which it took them over 2 hours to set up the day before, or on the Thursday before. Damage got caused to their gear in the process of removing it, and there was no refund for any of the funds that were spent in getting to the show and setting the booth up. And their fans were all, their supporters were all let down by their removal, and so on and so forth. Now, the Mary Sue, which is an internet publication, is also a sponsor or advertiser or in some way connected loosely with the Calgary Expo, published an article which named the Honeybadgers as a evil group of misogynists and yada yada, or misogynists and all this other stuff, and which of course affected, in Allison's claim, Allison claims affected her ability to sell her comic. So the claim is that the Expo broke their contract with them, and that the Mary Sue engaged in a it's rarely used, but it is actually a legal term. It's called injurious falsehood. It is the corporate version of libel. It's slightly different, and precedent has now been set forth that it can be pursued in small claims court, which will be starting, and the trial for this will start tomorrow. It has taken 2 years to get to this point, more than 2 years to get to this point, simply because of the way the legal system works. So, tomorrow, down at the courthouse, yours truly will be in attendance. I'll try to periscope a little bit and just see how this goes. It is slated to go for 2 or 3 days. So we'll see what happens. And so I'll be in attendance. And the reason that I'm quite interested in what goes down is because the year before, as I said, I'm a former volunteer with the Calgary Expo. The year before, they did something similar to me. I had published a blog, and I thought it was perfectly fine. The blog had been up for 3 years. They found it eventually, and I think what they did is they looked through my website and didn't like the other things that I was posting because I'm a conservative guy, and they kicked me off the volunteer team as a result, just as punishment, I guess, for my bad blog. Now, their claim, of course, was that I'd exposed them to legal issues or something through something that I had said in the entry that I'd posted. Now, I researched it. I spoke to a lawyer, and no, the duty of care which they had signed with their celebrity guests did not extend to their volunteers, aka me. So I was not, and I had signed no document, and they couldn't produce a document that I'd signed anyway. But I signed no document in which I accepted the same duty of care as they did. So they had no leg to stand on to kick me off the team. But because I was a volunteer, which is legally defined as a gratuitous servant, I love that term, gratuitous servant, I didn't have any legal recourse, and I still don't. Hey, if they don't want me to volunteer, that's fine, I'll stay away. But the way they did it, and their approach was completely wrong. So I've got an interest in what goes down with this. And do I have a bit of an axe to grind? Maybe. But realistically, I stand nothing to gain from this. I understand that. And sometimes the best revenge is doing nothing and watching a group fall flat in their face. I don't know. But I'm doing nothing to help or hinder this process. And I'm just going to observe. So that's my story. And that's the story of the Honeybadgers Brigade. So if this is something that you find interesting, I'll be posting some updates hopefully over the course of the week. I'll probably do once this all is resolved, I'll come online with some reactions and some final thoughts regarding the process. And I really, really hope for their sake that this is resolved, because this has been dragging on far too long. It costs a lot of money to go to trial, and it is a very, very stressful process. And by the end of it, everybody just wants it done. So there you have it. There's the story of the Honeybadgers Brigade and Calgary Expo. So that's it for me for Monday, November the 25th. No, I'm sorry, it's the 27th today. I lose track so easily. And again, you can find me on Patreon, Twitter, minds.com, all of these places. You'll find me with the handle SC Britain, and you'll find me on Facebook with the handle Steve Speaks Freely. So with that, I'm out, and I'll talk to you on Wednesday. I won't be able to be doing one of these live casts for nearly as long as I've done today, because I'll be downtown at the Calgary courthouses, but I'll try and hop on, at least briefly, for a quick hello. So I'll talk to you Wednesday, and I'll definitely make an effort to have something up on online for Friday as well. And I'm Steve Britton.